Mary and Peter were still drowning in the kind of grief that steals the air from your lungs. Losing their son Michael in a tragic accident had shattered their world, leaving only silence where his laughter used to live. Every morning, without fail, they made the same quiet walk to his grave, a ritual that felt like the only thread still tying them to him. But then something strange started happening. About a month after the funeral, Mary stopped mid-step during one of their visits. Resting on Michael's grave was a fresh red rose, perfect, vivid, and absolutely not from them. Peter frowned. That wasn't here yesterday. But the mystery didn't stop there. Each day they returned, another new rose appeared, always fresh, always placed with care. Someone else was visiting their son before them, someone who never stayed long enough to be seen. At first, they tried to dismiss it as a kind gesture from a stranger, but the consistency, the timing, the silence, it all began to weigh on them. Roses don't just appear every morning on their own. One evening, as they sat quietly in their living room, Peter spoke the words he'd been holding back. "I'm going to install a camera. We need to know who's doing this." Mary hesitated. "Peter, the cemetery has rules, and what if we don't like the answer?" But Peter had already made up his mind. That night, under a cold breeze and dim flashlight, he drove to the cemetery alone. His hands trembled as he secured a small camera between the trees, angled perfectly toward their son's grave. For the next 2 weeks, they visited as usual. Peter tried to act normal, but Mary saw the subtle glances, the tension in his shoulders, the way he avoided talking about it. She said nothing, but she felt it too, the need for answers. Then one morning, everything changed. The phone rang. It was the cemetery supervisor. Her voice was calm but heavy. "Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, someone found the camera. Normally I'd have to report this, but instead, I saved the footage for you. I think you should see it." But she didn't explain what she saw, just handed them a small USB drive, looked at them with eyes that seemed to carry a secret, and said, "I hope this brings you clarity." Back home, the USB sat on the kitchen table like a loaded question. They wanted answers, and yet they were afraid to find them. The next morning, after a long silent breakfast, they finally sat down together. Peter slid the USB into the laptop. Mary took his hand. "Ready?" he whispered. She nodded. He clicked play. At first, the footage was still and uneventful, the grave under the early morning light, a gentle breeze. Nothing unusual, but then a figure dressed in black slowly entered the frame, carrying a single red rose. Their breath caught. Even before the face became clear, something about the person felt familiar. Too familiar. The figure in black knelt slowly beside Michael's grave. She placed the rose with a kind of care that felt intimate, personal. Her face stayed hidden behind dark glasses, but the way she touched the stone, gentle, trembling, made Mary's heart twist. "Peter," she whispered. I think I know who that is." Peter leaned closer, his eyes narrowing as the woman in the video wiped a tear with the back of her hand. She stayed there for a long moment, head bowed, before walking away without ever looking up. They replayed the footage again and again. Mary's voice finally cracked. "It's Noah!" Their daughter. The daughter who had run away more than a decade ago. The daughter they had lost long before Michael. The daughter they had feared might never return. But what was she doing here? Why visit Michael, and not them? Mary felt her chest tighten as a rush of memories returned, slammed doors, painful arguments, a girl who left home with anger in her eyes and silence in her heart. Peter stood abruptly. "We're going to the cemetery. Today. If she's been coming this often, she'll come again." The next morning, just as the sun rose, they arrived and stood quietly by Michael's grave. Minutes passed like hours. Then a familiar car pulled in. A woman stepped out, older, thinner, carrying the same red rose. Noah froze when she saw them. The rose slipped from her hand. Mary took a step forward, tears already streaming. "Noah, sweetheart, is it really you?" Noah hesitated, her chin trembling, then rushed into her mother's arms. Peter wrapped his arms around both of them, holding on as if afraid she might disappear again. Between sobs, Noah finally spoke. "I came to Michael's grave because I didn't know how to face you. I didn't think you'd want me back." Mary cupped her daughter's face. "We never stopped wanting you. We never stopped loving you." Noah broke completely. They stood there, mother, father, daughter, reunited by grief, forgiveness, and a single red rose. From that day on, their family didn't visit Michael's grave alone anymore. They visited together.